Rob, obviously, in the movie world, the dominant story of the last year plus has obviously been the COVID pandemic. I mean, obviously, that's been the number one story around the world. But here in our little sphere where we talk about movies, it's also been dominant. And of course, one of the big things within that movie sphere is, of course, the impact that it's had on not only studios, but the theaters. And we've talked at length about the trouble that a lot of the theaters have been. AMC was in a lot of trouble for a while. Regal went into hibernation mode, which was very, very smart on their part. But one of the pieces of news that came out right near as we were getting towards the tail end of the COVID stuff was that a very popular movie theater chain, not the biggest movie theater chain, but a very popular one, Alamo Drafthouse, was forced to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which was certainly a telling sign of the times. I mean, on top of that, things like Pacific Theater shut down permanently, the ArcLight shut down. Whereas I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the ArcLight and Pacific Theaters thing. But Alamo Drafthouse had to go into bankruptcy. Well, as we talked about on the show where we said, listen, going into bankruptcy is not officially the end. That just means you're buying yourself some protections to give yourself a chance to reorganize and try to get back on your feet. And it kind of looks like that's what the Alamo Drafthouse did. Reports have gone out this morning that Alamo Drafthouse has set dates for 15 locations. They say 30 locations are going to be open here pretty soon. But they've already set dates for the reopening of locations in New York, LA, and in other theaters around town. I know this is going to make Erin Cummings very happy. Her favorite theater to go to right now is the Alamo Drafthouse in Los Angeles. And yeah. I've been there. I've been to that one. It's really, really good. This comes to us from the folks over at The Wrap. Right. Alamo Drafthouse has announced its reopening dates for 15 theaters locations across the country, including its locations in Brooklyn, New York, and Los Angeles. The Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn will open on May 7th, so only a little over a week away. And the Los Angeles location downtown will open on May 28th, still about a month away. And the remaining spots will all reopen throughout the end of July. By the end of the summer, Alamo's circuit footprint will be doubled compared to the theater's current open locations, with over 30 spots across the country, including the Dallas, Omaha, San Francisco, Lubbock, I guess that's in Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Laredo, and Yonker areas are in the lineup. And of course, that makes sense because Alamo Drafthouse is based out of Texas. So there's all that. Rob, we've recently been talking a lot about, finally, after a year, we've been able to talk in the last month or two about some positive signs. AMC being able to reopen, New York allowing theaters to reopen, Los Angeles being able to reopen, Godzilla vs. Kong doing bonkers at the box office, Mortal Kombat having a good opening weekend. There was a recent report on CBS News about the fact that so far the industry tasked with charting it, no coronavirus out cases have been linked back to any of the movie theaters being open so far. That's very positive. Yep. Hearing about an Alamo Drafthouse now being able to go into bankruptcy, navigate it properly, and now possibly looking like coming out the other side is another great sign for things. Again, it's not a victory, but it's a great sign for things. Rob, you hear about this. How does this little piece of the puzzle contribute to the overall recovery of the movie theaters? And is this reflective? And how do you feel about Alamo Drafthouse being able to reopen now?
Well, look, I think it's great. I mean, Alamo Drafthouse has been expanding. It took a while to get one here in LA, but we have one in downtown LA. And I'd been hearing about the Alamo Drafthouse for years in Austin, all the way back to when like Ain't It Cool News began movie punditry on the internet. And I think it's great. And I think, look, you know what? We might have been a little sometimes full of doom and gloom, but the fact is, even if you go back and you read about the Spanish influenza that ravaged the world in 1918, the world came out of it, and we are going to come out of this coronavirus epidemic. I mean, all my hopes and prayers go out to India because they're suffering.
They are having a really rough time right now in India.
Really rough time, as we know, and even from a business perspective, as you heard about. I mean, I think this is a great thing, and it shows over the last 4 months. I mean, vaccinations were stepped up, citizens were taking care. The movie theaters were doing what they needed to do to bring back. I mean, essentially a business that had died. Movie theaters had died, John. They were on the operating table and they were resuscitated. There's a heartbeat now, and that heartbeat's getting stronger. And I think for us in this space, movies are one of the things that give us happiness. Everybody watching this channel right now, and to know that movie theaters are coming back, and Alamo Drafthouse, their entire reason for being is to provide an amazing experience at the movies, the same way that AMC and their Dolby Cinemas are, and they put a lot of money toward making sure that that experience was happening for people, and then it was all curtailed, shut down. The fact that they're coming back, great thing for everybody.
Yeah, and again, we know there's a lot of people who watch the show that come to us from India and stuff like that. And again, our big thoughts and concerns to you guys. I hope you guys are able to navigate that and get out of that stretch that you guys are in there right now, because it's horrible stuff that's going on there at the moment. But Rob, you were kind of mentioning the whole idea about looking at the grander recovery and all these sorts of things. Now, Alamo Drafthouse is not one of the major players. Like, it's not Regal or anything like that, but it is within movie fan circles. It is a very much a celebrated name. Obviously, it's like a lot of people. South by Southwest is a big major annual conference. Those are the movie theaters people go to when they go to South by Southwest. They have been doing the expansion. So even if just symbolically, I think it's a really good thing for a lot of people. And here's hoping the recovery is able to continue. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? It looks like Alamo Drafthouse, their bid going into Chapter 11 has worked. They're getting ready to come out. How do you guys feel about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.